Craig, the announcement that Aroldis Chapman being added. We'll get to what he does on the field in a moment, but talk a little about the due diligence and what goes into a decision when you're bringing in a guy who has a suspension based on a domestic violence issue. How much extra work and extra layers of scrutiny do you go through?
Yeah, I mean, we'll start by saying that if this is something that we took extremely seriously, and the background and reference checking that we did was extensive. This was not kind of the typical play where you do a quick search and maybe ask a couple of people, but we sought the perspective and the feedback from teammates, from coaches, from officials, and collected as much information as we possibly could. And in no way does this diminish the severity of the suspension and of the incident. But at the same time, this is someone who has been in good standing in 5 different organizations over the last 8 years. And ultimately, it was a difficult decision, but one that we got comfortable with.
On the mound last year at Pittsburgh, I was talking to Derek Shelton yesterday. He was saying the leadership skills with the other pitchers meant a lot to that young team, and that he can still throw. Obviously, he's still throwing 100 miles an hour plus. What does he do for you? And as a left-handed reliever, what can he add to this bullpen?
Yeah, I think he gives us a dominant left-handed reliever who can pitch at the back end of a game. Obviously, is coming with hundreds of saves and a ton of closing experience. But we'll figure out the best way to deploy him. But one thing that our bullpen lacked was swing and miss and the ability to get a big strikeout with runners on base and to strand runners. And so I think that's something that will be a pretty significant improvement. And we'll continue to explore ways to improve the pen and recognize that if it can be a strength of this team, it'll give us a chance to preserve leads and win the games that we're supposed to.
He's on the older side. You've got some guys coming back from injury. You got Hendricks and Fulmer and Whitlock, Giolito as a starter. How important is the depth of this pitching staff going to be, and how careful do you sort of have to be with the people you add to this team, knowing that they'll be healthy and ready to go?
Yeah, we've talked about needing to improve both the quality and the depth, and I think we've made some progress in improving the depth, whether that was, some of the trades for guys like Weissert and Fitz and Priester and others, adding depth, and particularly optionable depth, is a good way to keep your bullpen fresh. At the same time, we also need to just improve kind of the overall profile of the rotation, and so we remain engaged on that front.
We're seeing names come off the board, and we're seeing some big numbers. Has the market surprised you at all? Did you sort of see this coming, especially on the pitching side? It feels like some of the early ones, everyone seems to be getting more than what a lot of the projections said they were. Of course, those are projections we in the media come up with, which probably not as good as it. But what your reaction to the market so far?
Yeah, starting pitching is really valuable, and I think teams are realizing that teams are riding starting pitching to a ton of success and deep playoff runs. And so, at this point, I think it's hard to be surprised. I think instead, you just have to commit to the reality that in order to get starting pitching, in order to get premium talent, you at times have to be a little bit uncomfortable.
On the trade side, you profile as a team with a lot of positional player talent coming up through the pipeline, right? If you look around, there are teams that are kind of the opposite, right? Offenses that need help on teams that have a lot of pitching. Mm-hmm. When we talk about that, is it as simple as you look at it and say, there's certain teams we just match up with? And do those lead to the conversations maybe happening quicker because there are obvious needs on both sides, or is it knocking on 29 doors and trying to find the matchup?
Well, it's a little bit of both, right? Because sometimes trade partners can emerge in places that you really weren't looking. But sure, we're obviously looking at the composition of other teams and saying, hey, this is a team that has, maybe a surplus in a particular area where we could match up. But that alone certainly does not guarantee that you're able to get a deal across the line.
Finally, you said yesterday, you understand the patience that Red Sox fans have been asked to show. As names come off, and as we stand here at this moment, as you well understand, that patience is being tested back home. What do you say to fans as you're still, in the middle of this offseason and that opening day isn't tomorrow? What do you say to those fans?
Yeah, no, we are as committed as we were when we started this offseason to putting a team on the field in 25 that's capable of vying for the division and making a deep postseason run. We are working tirelessly to deliver the team that fans deserve. And we'll continue to do that from now until opening day and beyond. So I understand, the frustration that many fans have carried for a number of years right now. And I think, our players, our staff, and our front office, they share that frustration, and we intend to do everything that we can to improve our team.